Quizizz is a go-to site for at-home learners, in-person learners, whole group, small group. Quizizz has it all. So you may be familiar with the quiz game feature of Quizizz. That's how it started. Sort of like a Kahoot or Blooket. It has amazing interactive quiz games that students can play individually or on teams or as a whole group independently. The newest feature that they've offered is lessons. And the lessons feature is really great for pacing your lesson while keeping it interactive. So you can quickly create a quiz, but let's look at how to create a lesson. So for a lesson, you want to choose lesson activity. You can name the lesson whatever you like. Let's call this one writing a narrative. And then we will assign it to a category. And we can import from Google Slides, which is time saving. If you already have slides that you use or have used in past years, you can very quickly pull in those slides. I'm going to double click and it's automatically importing my files. So here's my lesson for writing a narrative with all of my slides automatically imported, which is amazing because I don't have to go through and format them. Now I can edit the lesson, adding in interactive questions for students. So to add a question, you go down to the add new slide and you have all of these options. You can add in blank slides if you want to add some additional slides that were not in your Google Slides. You can also add in question types. If it has a little lightning bolt, that means that it's a premium feature, but it's only about $60 for the entire year to use the premium side of Quizizz, so it is worth the money, at least if you're using it often. You can import multiple choice. You can do open-ended, which may be great since this is a writing lesson. You can also do drawing and a poll. So I could ask a quick poll. How do you feel about writing? Whenever you create a question, you can also add in an image. Again, premium features, you could do an audio if you need to read this question. You could also add a video if you had something specific that you wanted to show. You can look up images and it will automatically add this to my question. And then I can decide what my answer options would be. Love it, hate it, okay, no opinion. You can also add more options if you wanted to, and you can use the trash can to delete options. If you have students who maybe aren't strong with reading yet, or your question lends itself, you can add images in. This will change it to an image answer. So I could put a heart here, I could put a frowny face here. Those are other choices. You can import questions or other slides as well from their teleport feature. It automatically brings up the title of your slide, but you can change that. You can say that you only want lessons to appear. You can also designate by grades, subjects, the number of questions, and languages. Let's look at some of the pre-made questions. So I may want to add in some of these questions. I can add all 10, or I can go through and just choose a couple of questions to add in. And it automatically adds the questions wherever you left off in the order of your slide. So you may have to rearrange those questions. So I'm going to add those two. I'm going to exit out of that, and here are the questions that I imported. To move these, I just click on it, grab it, and move it down to the bottom or wherever it is that I want that question to go. And this one has to do with beginning, middle, and end. So I'm going to put that question after our discussion of beginning, middle, and end. Once you have your lesson, how you want it to be, you can set it to have an image. That way you can quickly find it in your library. I'm use the same image that I used for the poll. I can set the language. I can also set the grade level. So I'm going to say this one is probably a 3rd through maybe 6th grade, and I can choose who can see this as well. If it's private to only you, then you're not going to be able to share it to your students. You can preview the lesson if you want to. We'll go ahead and click save, and that gets your lesson ready to either play live. So if you click the live option, this is where you as the teacher will paste the lesson. So just like you would if this was a Google slide, you will use these to do your teaching. And then in between, students will have the opportunity to interact on their computer by answering the poll or the questions. I can also assign this as homework. I love this feature for centers or for extra practice. Usually I choose no deadline when I do this because once the deadline comes, you're not going to be able to change it unless you have the premium feature, and you won't be able to choose that unless you have the premium feature. So for me, premium features are worth the little bit of an investment. But you can always change the deadline to whatever it is that you want it to be. You can create classes within Quizizz, or you can just assign out the link. The name factory is great. This is a really useful tool when you are doing whole group and you want to keep some anonymity for your students, so that if they get questions wrong or if they're answering a discussion question, no one's going to feel silly because their actual name is not attached. Name factory generates names that are usually a food and a literary character of some sort. You can turn on and off the timer. You can turn on and off the leaderboard. You can shuffle the answer options, which is nice, and you can turn on and off the memes. You can also choose the types of memes that you want. And all of this is under the advanced settings. So now that I have set up my quiz, I've assigned it as homework, I can post it into the classroom, or I can post just the link. I can also send this out through a remind if you want to let parents know this is an option for students at home. You do have report options. And once students start participating, their names will generate here. You will have an overview of the questions and how they were answered. You will also be able to see how many people got the answers right or wrong. This gives you a good idea of which questions were the most challenging for your students. You can also set up a library, which is a great way to organize all of your Quizizz lessons into folders based on the content that you are teaching. So to add a lesson or a quiz, click on the save icon and then choose where you want. I could choose multiple. I can also create a new collection here. And now this lesson is saved into the folders.